Assalamualaikum. Welcome again to JJ Table Talk. What do I have to say? For today's session, many have asked me to speak on the topic of compassion and empathy. Are they the same? What are the differences? They may seem like similar, but they are not the same. The concepts and the processes are kind of interrelated and intertwined in the sense that when you talk about to listen with empathy, it is the ability for us to understand and share similar emotions with the person that you are engaging with at that particular time. For example, when somebody says they've gone through hunger, they're very hungry, and we know there's so many people around the world who are going through this process of not eating at all, and the feeling of hunger is something like not everybody can empathize, because some of them are living with so much food on their plate that they don't realize that there are people in other parts of the world who feel the pangs of hunger. And I can empathize this feeling because I do fasting during the month of Ramadan, and I find that having one or two meals a day is not the same as eating all the time every day. And then when somebody speak of death, I can also empathize with them, because personally I have experienced the death of my parents and the death of my two brothers. So that is empathy, the ability to understand and share the same feeling with the other person. So what's compassion then? That's different. Compassion has an element of empathy. However, in compassion, you kind of move that emotion, and it's a complex emotion, and somehow it is characterized by an action, by a deeper understanding and empathy for the suffering of others, and it is accompanied by the strong desire to alleviate that suffering. And it goes beyond just that emotion for someone's misfortune or experience. It kind of includes, how shall I say it, a warm-hearted, supportive reaction and commitment to, take action to help. And that is the meaning of compassion, when it's directed towards oneself, not only to yourself when you experience this, as well as towards others. And it can manifest in various forms of kind and helpful behavior. So now I hope you can understand there's a difference between empathy and compassion. So if we talk about compassion is something, let me highlight some of the key aspects of compassion. In a sense, like when you have some kind of sensitivity to that suffering, and it involves being aware and sensitive to the pain, the misfortune, or any hardship of the other person that you are interacting with. And secondly, of course, you may have empathy in the sense that compassion actually includes this feeling of empathy, the ability to understand and to have this similar sharing with the other person. Another aspect of compassion is you feel the motivation to help. What do I mean by this? Unlike empathy, compassion is not just a feeling for someone, it includes a compelling desire to help them. So that's the difference now. You see, not just understanding, but you have this desire, this compelling desire to help them. And what else? What's another aspect of compassion? Compassion is very action-oriented in the sense that, how shall I say, compassion often leads to not just feeling for someone. You kind of take leads, take actions, take steps to relieve that suffering, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. And another aspect of compassion is to have self-compassion. And this is the ability to direct these feelings and actions toward oneself. So you must have a compassion for yourself first before you can have compassion for others. And then only the sense of compassion grows. Someone asked me again, JJ, is empathy same with sympathy? Look, I've said earlier that when you talk about empathy is the feeling of you being able to understand what the other person is feeling, all right? But sympathy is a feeling of sorrow or pity for another's misfortune or suffering. So you can just say, I'm sad, and that's it, stops there. You don't have the need to understand what this sadness is all about. When we talk about empathy, you have understanding of that. But like some people say, putting yourself in the other person's shoes or putting yourself in the other person's situation. Of course, sometimes people say, JJ, can we have compassion without taking actions? Yes. In certain circumstances, yes, you can have a feeling of compassion, but you're not taking any action. But then this is what we call being kind. A lot of people say it's kindness. So when we do not take actions, often the result is called kindness. So if we want to show compassion, how do we show it? It's such a thin line between what I've said earlier, having that feeling of empathy, having kindness, having sympathy, having compassion. So how do you go about to show compassion? Actually, it's very simple, and we do it often without realizing it. Sometimes it's like opening the door for someone, or motivating others. When we have conversation, when we motivate, that's a feeling of compassion too. Or practice the acts of kindness towards another person. What else? Or you can allocate time to bond with friends and family and have a good time. You see, that's where building rapport and trust develops, because it is that platform that allows us to sort of mold that friendship that we have over the years. And sometimes it's just to say encouraging words. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be arrogant, just some encouraging words. For example, thank you, or good job, well done, and smile, because I often do this with my staff, and I find that just simple words like this make the day for them. And it's refreshing actually to have this feeling with them. And with family members and what else? Close friends, sharing a hug or a handshake is also another gesture of showing compassion. What else? You can offer to help someone to do a list. For example, sometimes as a mentor, we sort of give advice, and we offer help. And we offer help, like for example, they need some references or they need to do some research. I would always give some suggestions or make remarks of how they can go about doing this. So actually, it is very simple to have this act of compassion. Okay? Start with yourself, start with the family, and then broaden the perspective. Thank you for listening. If you like your watching, we can continue, because there's going to be part 2 of this topic. Bye-bye from JJ.